Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 132 based on novel. So let's start. Luo Feng had no choice. Under the influence of the 9 strange powers, he could not exert much strength at all. If he did not use the secret treasure, he would have no chance of winning the bet with the Thunder Ancestor. Now that he had the Star Tower to protect him, he could deal with his opponent more easily. Of course, he would still lose if he had been hiding in the tower and could not fight back. He had to have the advantage in a head-on confrontation to win the bet. Is this the 9-story tower? The Thunder Ancestor knew about the confrontation between Luo Feng and Emperor Qing, and knew about the existence of this 9-story tower. Thunder Ancestor, in this gambling battle, I can only have a chance if I use the secret treasure. Luo Feng said, be careful. I've cultivated for a few more eras than you, it's meant to be bullying the small with the big. The Thunder Ancestor said with a smile, feel free to use whatever secret treasures you have, as long as you have a slight upper hand, it's my loss. Hua 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 tilde 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 tilde. Luo Feng's body turned into an endless river of water in an instant. The most basic life unit of this endless river of blood is still the multi-hoof and claw creature form. It's just that the external existence form turned into a blood river. The blood river instantly enveloped the Thunder Ancestor. Huh? The Thunder Ancestor could sense that the water of the blood river was incredibly heavy, and even formed a space cage that wanted to imprison him. There was even power that wanted to penetrate his body and strangle him. Thunder Ancestor stood there and didn't even move, only the invisible power flowed on his body surface. His body was so complete that all external forces couldn't penetrate, nor could he be shaken. Luo Feng once overwhelmed the 8 emperors by himself. Compared with that time, the most basic energy that constitutes the blood river has transformed from the 24 phases form to the multi-hoof and claw creature form. Luo Feng's realm has also been greatly improved. It's quite interesting. Thunder Ancestor stretched out his hand to touch the blood river water like playing in the water, and the entire endless blood river trembled violently and began to explode. Go! Luo Feng, who turned into the endless blood river, instantly released the Star Tower and performed a killing move. After Luo Feng obtained the Eye of Life and Death and had a deeper understanding of the 12-colored blood scales with 12 colors on the edge, he realized the 9-branch secret method of the Great Tao of Life and Death, called Meteor. With the help of the secret pattern of the Star Tower, this move can be pushed to an extremely terrifying level. Boom! The Star Tower was like a meteor, instantly passing through the void of the cosmic ocean. The faces of the Thunder Ancestor and the Flame Wind Ancestor who was watching the battle from a distance changed. They were experienced and knowledgeable. The Star Tower was like a meteor passing through the void of the cosmic ocean. Time was stagnant, and space was naturally separated. At this moment, the Star Tower was indestructible. The Thunder Ancestor could not avoid this attack, because as soon as he saw this meteor, the meteor had already hit his body, at the same time. Boom 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 tilde 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 tilde. The Thunder Ancestor was hit, and his towering body staggered back a few steps. The power limit of the Supreme Rule was like a shackle, completely restraining his strength. Of course, the Star Tower was also heavily restrained. Under the same power, the Star Tower repelled him. Super powerful secret treasure. It must be a top-level secret treasure. The Thunder Ancestor was extremely sure at this moment, this attack has frozen time, separated space, and condensed matter to the extreme, which can be said to be indestructible. It should be the super powerful secret treasure refined by Senior Yuan and his team. With such a huge difference in realm, can the thunder be repelled with the help of a secret treasure? It should be a treasure with more than 100,000 reward points in infinite space. The Flame Wind Ancestor also thought so. Only treasures of this level can create many miracles. Ha ha ha. The Thunder Ancestor laughed loudly. In the distance in all directions, there were thunder figures condensing, a total of 8 thunder clones. The 9 Thunder Ancestors naturally formed a huge formation. The formation was running, quickly suppressing the operation of time, space, matter, life, and many other great Taos. Luo Feng's endless blood river also became much quieter, only the star tower that turned into a meteor still tore the formation again and again, and then crashed the real body and clone of the Thunder Ancestor. But under the suppression of the formation, the counterattack of the star tower has been greatly reduced. Without using treasures, we can't suppress this 9-story tower. The 9 Thunder Ancestors looked at the star tower that tore through the formation and rushed in again and again, but there was a trace of greed in the depths of their eyes. He longed for such treasures, but unfortunately, the Milky Way Kingdom Lord would not give him a chance and would not take the tower out of the origin continent. The Thunder Ancestor waved his hand and threw out an ancient stone pillar. The stone pillar became the core of the entire formation, making the formation formed by the 9 Thunder Ancestors even more powerful, and the suppression of many avenues such as time, space, matter, and life was even more terrifying. At this moment, Luo Feng himself was completely suppressed. Although the star tower could still rush in, it was lost in the formation and could not touch the Thunder Ancestor. It actually forced Thunder to use the secret treasure. The Flame Wind Ancestor was quite surprised when he watched from a distance. The Thunder Ancestor was a half-chaotic origin life form. Even if he didn't use any treasures, he could suppress the Milky Way Kingdom Lord. But this time he was forced to use the secret treasure. From this, it can be seen that, the special pearl of the 9-story tower. The gap between the two sides is too big. Emperor Qing looked at this scene. Even if Brother Milky Way has a 9-story tower, he still can't win. It's already amazing that he can let the Thunder Ancestor use a secret treasure. Milky Way, do you have any other means? The Thunder Ancestor said, if you don't have any means, you'd better admit defeat. The endless blood river instantly gathered into Luo Feng, looking at the Thunder Ancestor with admiration. Thunder Ancestor, your realm is indeed much higher than mine, so I have to use forbidden moves. Forbidden moves? The Thunder Ancestor was surprised and smiled, just use any forbidden moves. Luo Feng nodded his head, but a thought entered the interior of the star tower. The eye of life and death in Luo Feng's brow opened at the moment. Peeping at the blood-colored scale with the 12 colors on the edge, inside the star tower, Luo Feng could not see any destructive weaknesses of the blood scales, only felt perfect and powerful. But Luo Feng could see the most powerful part of the blood scale's vitality. Luo Feng had tried it before. Although I don't understand it very well, with the help of the Eye of Life and Death, I can mobilize a trace of the truly terrifying power of the blood scales. Luo Feng's Eye of Life and Death quickly drove the secret patterns in the deep area of the star tower. Since the shallow secret patterns were activated before, the deep ones were not understood at all. But with the help of the Eye of Life and Death, he could see where the vitality was strong. After repeated attempts in the past years, Luo Feng finally figured out a way to mobilize a trace of power. This is why he dared to fight with the Thunder Ancestor. Buzz. Along with the mobilization, a trace of blood extended from the 12 colors blood scales and began to infect the entire star tower. The star tower also became a blood-colored tower. The Thunder Ancestor and the Flame Wind Ancestor saw the color change of the 9-story tower from afar, but they felt depressed in their hearts. I heard that some of the treasures with more than 100,000 reward points are made of world-class chaotic origin lifeform as materials, and some are even made of the corpse of the chaotic origin primogenitor. The Thunder Ancestor looked at the star tower at this moment. The terrifying aura of the star tower was already a trace of the more terrifying existence outside the cage. This tower should be such a treasure. Go. The star tower once again crossed the void of the cosmic ocean. This time, everything it passed was drilled through, time and space, and formations were all drilled through, and it instantly blasted the true body of the Thunder Ancestor, and the Thunder Ancestor flew backwards in vicious mess. Thunder World, 10 Absolute Formation. The Thunder Ancestor could no longer care and threw out a set of his most powerful formation. As a cultivator in the origin world, if the clone who was wandering outside died in battle, he could send another clone over. So he also left a lot of the most precious treasures in the origin world. For example, the most powerful 10 absolute formation of the Thunder World of the Thunder Ancestor, he now has 2 sets of formations. One set is carried outside, and the other is stored in the origin world for backup. At this moment, he can't care about it and go all out. He really didn't think that he would be forced to use the most powerful formation in the origin continent. Boom tilde 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 tilde. 10 thunder condensed figures appeared around, and each thunder figure controlled a large formation. The 10-sided formation was perfectly integrated into a thunder world. The thunder world naturally has its own operating rules to suppress all foreign forces. Suppress? The thunder ancestor went all out to suppress the star tower. Boom tilde tilde tilde. The blood-colored star tower still forcibly penetrated the formation, and the formation could not suppress him. This 10-sided formation is simply a maze. Luo Feng frowned slightly, and the star tower rushed from one large formation to another, but it couldn't touch the thunder ancestor at all. The realm gap is too big. Even if the star tower is very strong, it can't touch the other side. Luo Feng thought. He immediately used the Eye of Life and Death to carefully observe this thunder world. Under the Eye of Life and Death, the space-time structure, energy operation, and the combination of 10 formations were all much clearer. Luo Feng saw dozens of weaknesses in the operation of the formation at a glance. These weaknesses were also changing when the formation was in operation. Go? Luo Feng's Eye of Life and Death saw the formation clearly, and his mind moved immediately. The star tower flashed. In an instant, it followed the weaknesses of the formation and penetrated the space barrier one after another, and smashed into the body of the thunder ancestor hiding in the deepest part of the thunder world, hitting the thunder ancestor staggering and flying away. How is it possible? How could he find me? The thunder ancestor couldn't believe it. Although he was a chaotic origin bloodline cultivator, this formation was refined by a half-chaotic origin level enlightened person. It was not easy to crack this formation. As soon as the thunder ancestor took a step, he immediately hid in another place in the thunder world. Resisting the suppression of the thunder world, the star tower once again penetrated the weakness of the formation and bombarded the body of the thunder ancestor. Once, twice, 3 times. Thunder ancestor was bombarded several times in a row. Under the power limit of the origin continent, it was impossible for anyone to really hurt each other. So the bet was on who had the upper hand. But at this moment, the situation was very clear. I lost. The thunder ancestor spoke, dispersing the formation, and looked at Luo Feng with mixed feelings. Thunder ancestor said before that the Milky Way Kingdom Lord had no chance to win, but deep down in his heart he didn't think he would lose. In his opinion, even if the Milky Way Kingdom Lord had a super powerful secret treasure, he couldn't beat him. A junior who hasn't left the origin world, with the help of a secret treasure, can suppress me. The thunder ancestor had mixed feelings. The power limit of the origin continent, I can only have a slight advantage when I have the same power as the ancestor. Luo Feng said, if it were in the outside world, I'm afraid I wouldn't have the power to fight back. One force defeats 10 skills. Luo Feng knew very well that if the power gap was too big, the star tower would probably be snatched away. You win as you win. The thunder ancestor shook his head lightly. I can afford to lose. I will deal with Lan Duo myself. After saying that, the thunder ancestor took a step and left.
Flame Wind Ancestor, Emperor Qing, and the East Pole Territory Ancestor Feng Shi were still around, but the Thunder Ancestor left alone. Everyone who watched could see that he was in a bad mood. Under the power limit, I have the advantage of 2 super powerful secret treasures. Luo Feng was not proud at all. Instead, he became more aware of the gap between himself and the expert outside the origin world. After leaving the origin continent, I should be more cautious. These 2 secret treasures are specially used to assist in cultivation, and will not be taken out of the origin continent. Outside the origin continent, ones have to rely on one's own hard power to break through. Brother Milky Way. Emperor Qing smiled. I really didn't expect you to win this gambling battle. It really surprised us. The Flame Wind Ancestor looked at Luo Feng from the side, and he was also surprised. He knew very well that there were 4 steps above the God King. The first step, Early God Emperor, and the 4th step, Perfect God Emperor, were too far apart. Even with the power limit, there was still a big gap in realm. Although the superpowerful secret treasures were special, the flame-wind ancestor and his men had seen them before. This Milky Way may be the dazzling existence among billions of worlds. The flame-wind ancestor thought, wandering outside the origin world. He and the thunder ancestor had also seen many dazzling existences. Compared with those dazzling existences, the two of them were too ordinary. Milky Way, win this gambling battle, and there will be one more rule in the origin continent in the future. The big sinners will definitely die. The East Pole Territory ancestor also smiled and said, she was very happy to see this result. She was the most kind among the several god emperors. She had no blood connection with the indigenous life forms of the origin continent, but she was still willing to protect them. This gambling battle was a bit lucky. Luo Feng said with emotion. If he hadn't obtained the Eye of Life and Death, he would not be able to defeat the Thunder Ancestor with the Star Tower alone. Milky Way can go to the East Pole Territory when he has time in the future. The East Pole Territory ancestor. Definitely. Luo Feng nodded. The East Pole Territory ancestor said goodbye and left immediately. Milky Way. The Flame Wind ancestor said, would you like to go to my Flame Wind ancient kingdom and sit for a while? Okay. Luo Feng replied. With the help of his status as a guest official of Flame Wind ancient kingdom, he got some inheritance when he was young, and was able to enter the infinite space treasure trove, and his master Emperor Chu also helped him. Speaking of which, the Flame Wind ancestor was also kind to him. Flame Wind ancient kingdom, on a towering mountain. The Flame Wind ancestor, Emperor Qing, and Luo Feng sat down separately, and the puppet being brought them delicious food and wine. This is where I usually live in seclusion. The Flame Wind ancestor looked at the surrounding mountains. Besides me, there are only some puppets. I like the tranquility here. The Flame Wind ancestor looked at Luo Feng with a smile. Milky Way, when you go outside the origin world, you will cherish the peaceful days in the origin continent. Oh? Luo Feng is used to the tranquility of the origin continent. For him, no one can threaten him in the origin continent. Outside the origin world, even if you cultivate within your cave, there might be some very special low-level chaotic origin life forms that can sneak into your cave and make a sneak attack. Flame Wind ancestor shook his head. Death can come at any time. Those of us who came out of the origin world are lucky. As long as we can practice clones, at least there will be clones left in the origin world. Those experts who have risen from the billions of worlds don't have the clone technique, and their situation is even worse. In order to survive, they will do anything. Emperor Qing also nodded. Outside the origin world, our main opponents are low-level chaotic origin life forms, but we also need to be careful of attacks from other cultivators. It's true that it's easier for them to go crazy when none of them have a clone. Luo Feng nodded. The practitioners in the cage are divided into two categories. Flame Wind ancestor said, one is the beings within the origin world. The origin world is a huge world born by nature, and naturally contains the supreme rules. The other is the billions of worlds created by Senior Yuan. Many of the creatures in the billions of worlds are born with chaotic origin bloodline, so it is easier for them to cultivate than us. Born with chaotic origin bloodline. Luo Feng was surprised. Just like those creatures with chaotic origin bloodline that I cultivated. Flame Wind ancestor said, those creatures I cultivated have very low intelligence. But Senior Yuan and his people were able to integrate these chaotic origin bloodlines into the bodies of intelligent creatures. They have enough wisdom and understanding, and they are almost all-powerful beings in the billions of worlds. Our starting point is low, we are usually only true gods after we are born, and our cultivation is also difficult, many times more difficult than theirs who were born with chaotic origin bloodline. But we have greater potential, and can practice the clones technique. Flame Wind Ancestor said. Luo Feng understood the two major categories of the cultivator camp. One category was the naturally birthed beings, and the other was the billions of world beings created by Senior Yuan and the others. When you get outside the origin world, you can see various cultivation systems, hunt various low-level chaotic origin life forms, communicate with powerful beings in billions of worlds, and it is easier to go further in the darkness. Flame Wind Ancestor said, but the competition for true treasures is too fierce outside the origin world. The best way for us to obtain treasures is still inside the origin continent. Emperor Qing also nodded and said, special life form remains. Luo Feng said, yes. Flame Wind Ancestor nodded. In the dark area of the dream realm and the depths of the heavenly pillar realm, there is hope to obtain a special life form remains. However, in these two areas, only one can be obtained. Only one. Luo Feng didn't know this information. For example, if you enter the dark area of the dream realm and work hard to obtain a special life form remains, you will be immediately expelled and there will be no rules anymore. Therefore, a creature can obtain up to 2 special life form remains in the dream realm and the heavenly pillar realm. As a god emperor, it is still easy to obtain. Ancestor Flame Wind said, this is also the most important treasure for the god emperors of our origin continent. As for the innate secret treasure, secret methods and secret techniques, these depend on luck. Flame Wind Ancestor laughed, remember, don't sell special life form remains easily. If you really want to sell them, you can ask me. I can give you a high enough price. I understand. Luo Feng nodded and asked, by the way, what kind of remains are these special life form remains?
Dream realm, it should be a very special corpse of the world-class chaotic origin life forms. With the corpse as the foundation, countless dream realm spaces are formed. Ancestor Flame Wind said, Heavenly Pillar Realm, it should also be a world-class chaotic origin lifeform's corpse. World-class chaotic origin lifeform corpses are extremely large. If you disassemble a little flesh, scales, and hair, you can disassemble more than hundreds of millions of pieces. Flame Wind Ancestor said, Senior Yuan hid these remains in the most core place, and you can get them if you are strong enough. In the origin continent, these two treasures are also the most important. Other infinite spaces are special. They connect a large number of origin worlds at the same time. Luo Feng understood. Other treasure lands were directly visited by the real body. Only the infinite space can have a wisp of consciousness descend from afar if it gets the chance. Only 2 world-class chaotic origin life forms corpses were used for one origin continent. It seems that Senior Yuan and his team have killed quite a few world-class chaotic origin life forms. Luo Feng realized at this moment that the fighting at a higher level should be very fierce. In fact, our biggest crisis is that the innate chaotic origin lifeform group attacks the origin continent. Ancestor Flame Wind said, if one day, the innate chaotic origin lifeform group attacks the origin continent and devours the origin continent, then we will be finished. Does this happen often? Luo Feng asked. There are quite a few. Flame Wind Ancestor nodded. In the battle between our cultivator camp and the innate chaotic origin lifeform camp, we are at a disadvantage. Even some time ago, an important world group dedicated to cultivating god emperors, the Beigu World Group, completely lost news, and it should have been lost. Emperor Qing also said, the god emperors cultivated in billions of worlds, and there are also multiple origin worlds around the Beigu World Group. Those origin worlds may also be gone. Luo Feng was surprised to hear this. The two camps are fighting so fiercely? Outside the origin world, there is no shortage of opportunities and resources, but the environment is extremely bad. It is because the situation of our entire cultivator camp is not good, and we need more cultivators to jump out of the cage. Flame Wind Ancestor said, only by jumping out of the cage can we participate in the war between the two camps. Flame Wind Ancestor and Emperor Qing told Luo Feng a lot of secret information, and they also intended to support each other on the road in the future. These are all far away from us. The most important thing for us is to grasp the resources in front of us. Emperor Qing said, and sent a piece of information to Luo Feng. This is the information about the dark area of the dream realm and the depths of the heavenly pillar realm. The dark area of the dream realm has been changing. The information I gave can only be used as a reference. There is no change in the depths of the heavenly pillar realm. You can take a closer look. First, get the special life form remains of these two places. Emperor Qing said. Thank you. Luo Feng felt the kindness of these two people. Outside the cage, the war between the two camps is too far away from him, and there is no need to think so much. Thunder Mountain. The ancestor was furious and personally gone to find the Milky Way Kingdom Lord. Monarch Lan Duo fought in his cave, then he went to the cosmic ocean area to fight a great battle. Unfortunately, I couldn't spy on that battle. Monarch Lan Duo was quite excited. The ancestor's personal appearance might change the attitude of the Milky Way Kingdom Lord and stop hindering him from plundering living beings. I don't know what the situation is in this battle. The power of the origin continent is limited. Milky Way Kingdom Lord will definitely have no problem saving his life, but he will definitely suffer in front of the ancestor. Monarch Lan Duo has great faith in his ancestor. Humph! Suddenly a cold snort sounded in Monarch Lan Duo's consciousness. Then, the terrifying thunder exploded in Monarch Lan Duo's soul. This terrifying thunder has the power to annihilate the soul. This is the terrible thing about the chaotic origin bloodline path. Although you don't understand the soul path, you can tap into the bloodline talent. When Luo Feng faced the thunder ancestor, he was attacked at the same time on the physical, soul, and mental levels. Of course, Luo Feng could easily resist it. But faced with the terrifying thunder that has reached the upper limit of the power of the origin continent and can annihilate the soul and destroy the body, without the protection of Thunder Mountain, Monarch Lan Duo could not resist. Ancestor. At the moment of death, Monarch Lan Duo knew that he was unwilling to kill himself, and he did not believe it. But in an instant, his consciousness was annihilated. From now on, all the great sinners who devoured billions of living beings on the origin continent will be executed. The voice of the Thunder Ancestor rang in the consciousness of every monarch of the ancient kingdom. White Demon and Lan Duo died one after another, and the orders issued by the Thunder Ancestor and the Flame Wind Ancestor on the same day. Naturally, the entire origin continent was in uproar. All forces understand that the order of the origin continent has changed, and from now on there is one more rule. No one, including the Emperor, Monarch, and the Ultimate Realm, can disobey it. This video will end here.